The Zephyrian Council had made a grave miscalculation 20 years ago when they stripped Commander Elena Vasquez of her rank, exiled her from the Terran colonies, and declared her a traitor to the human species. They had expected her to disappear into the void, another casualty of their political machinations. Instead, she had become something far more dangerous than they could have imagined. Now she stood on the bridge of the Nemesis, her flagship, watching the blue marble of New Terra grow larger through the viewports. Behind her stretched a fleet that made the combined forces of the inner systems look like children's toys. 700 vessels of alien design and human ingenuity, crewed by species the Council had never even heard of. Empress, her aide, a crystalline being from the Helix Nebula, chimed softly. The planetary defense grid is powering up. They're attempting to hail us. Elena's lips curved into a smile that held no warmth. 20 years in exile had carved sharp angles into her face, and the neural crown she wore, a gift from the architects of Proxima, pulsed with soft golden light as it interfaced with her ship's systems. Let them sweat a little longer, Prism. They made me wait 20 years. They can wait 20 minutes. The story of Elena's exile was whispered in the dark corners of human space. She had been the youngest fleet commander in Terran history, a brilliant tactician who had united 3 warring colony worlds through diplomacy rather than force. But her methods had been too radical for the Council. She had actually treated alien species as equals, had formed alliances instead of demanding submission. When she proposed a true galactic federation with humanity as partners rather than conquerors, they had branded her a heretic and a fool. The charges had been trumped up, the trial a farce. Treason, they called it. Violation of the human purity doctrine. Elena remembered the way Counselor Morrison had smiled when he read her sentence. Permanent exile beyond the outer rim, with a kill order if she ever returned. They had given her a single ship, a decommissioned corvette, and enough supplies for 6 months. It should have been a death sentence. Instead, it had been her liberation. The first aliens she encountered beyond the rim had been the Kythera, a hive mind species that communicated through bioluminescent patterns. The Council would have seen them as a threat to be eliminated or a resource to be exploited. Elena saw them as people in need of help. Their homeworld was dying, consumed by a stellar plague that was literally eating their sun. She had no resources to offer except her knowledge and her humanity's greatest strength, the stubborn refusal to accept the impossible. Working with the Kythera's biological expertise and her own engineering background, they developed a solution the galactic community had deemed fantasy: stellar regeneration through controlled fusion manipulation. Word spread quickly through the outer reaches. The human exile who could perform miracles, species that had never heard of the Terran Council, began seeking her out. The nomadic wanderer fleets displaced by cosmic storms, the silicon-based Lithians whose crystal cities were cracking under tidal forces, the energy beings of the void reaches who were slowly dissipating into entropy. Elena helped them all, not out of charity but out of recognition. These were her people now, the exiled, the forgotten, the written off. Under her leadership, they formed something unprecedented in galactic history, a true federation of equals. Not humans ruling over aliens or one species dominating others, but hundreds of civilizations working together as one. They called her Empress, though she had never claimed the title. It simply fit. She ruled not through fear or force, but through the loyalty of species who remembered when she had saved their worlds, their cultures, their very existence. And now she was home. "Hail them," Elena commanded. The main screen flickered to life, revealing the pale, jowled face of Counselor Morrison. Older now, his hair white, but his eyes still holding the same contempt they had 20 years ago. "Elena Vasquez," he said, his voice tight with barely controlled fear. "You're in violation of your exile. Turn your fleet around and—" "My name," she interrupted, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had commanded the loyalty of 1,000 species, "is Empress Elena Vasquez of the Federation of Stars. And you, Morrison, are going to listen very carefully to what I have to say." Behind her, the bridge crew, Kythera bioluminescent specialists, Lithian tactical officers, human engineers who had chosen exile over compliance, worked with quiet efficiency. The diversity that the Council had feared was humanity's weakness had become Elena's greatest strength. 20 years ago you exiled me for proposing that humanity could lead through cooperation rather than domination. You called it treason. I call it evolution." Elena stepped forward and the neural crown's glow intensified. I have spent 2 decades proving that humanity's true strength isn't in our weapons or our technology. It's in our ability to see potential where others see problems, to find unity in diversity, to turn enemies into allies. The fleet behind her was a testament to that truth. Bioships grown by the Kithera, crystal vessels that sang as they moved through space, ships of pure energy that phased between dimensions, and at their heart, human ingenuity binding it all together. You have 1 hour to surrender unconditionally, Elena continued. The government that exiled me no longer exists. In its place, New Terra will join the Federation as an equal member, not as the capital of a human empire. Morrison's face had gone pale. You can't be serious. This is our homeworld. Humanity's birthright. Humanity's birthright, Elena said softly, is the stars themselves. All of them. But we share that birthright with every species that reaches for the light. She paused, letting the weight of her next words settle. You taught me that humans alone are not enough, so I didn't come back alone. The hour passed in a flurry of desperate communications between the council chambers. Some called for resistance. Others, looking at the impossible fleet hanging in their sky like a second asteroid belt, counseled surrender. In the end, pragmatism won, as it always did. Elena's coronation, though she refused to call it that, took place in the ruins of the old council chambers. She had not ordered their destruction. That had happened naturally when her Void Reach allies phased the building partially out of normal spacetime, rendering it uninhabitable but leaving it as a monument to the failure of isolationism. Her throne was not made of ash, as the poets would later claim, but of crystallized starlight, a gift from the Helix architects, grown from the heart of a newborn star. It held the dreams and hopes of 1,000 species, all united under the simple principle that cooperation was stronger than conquest. From her throne, Empress Elena looked out at the assembly, humans and aliens working side by side, just as she had always envisioned. The exile had ended, but more importantly, so had humanity's childhood. They were part of something greater now. They had their place among the stars. And Elena Vasquez, the traitor who became an empress, finally sat on the throne she had always been meant to occupy, not as humanity's ruler, but as the bridge between humanity and infinity.